True or false? When there's distress, pain, conflict, uncertainty, you tend to jump to action before clarifying the problem or how you can best resolve it. Come on, raise your hands. I know it's like 10,000% true. Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Wackett. Thanks for joining me for another video as we work to empower and equip you with the confidence and skills to write your own story so that you can live your life on purpose. I'm excited to be here today talking about core beliefs, or our innermost beliefs about ourselves and our place in this world. Many of you have heard me use this term before. Core beliefs are our most profound stories, the anchor point to which all else is connected. These beliefs are a foundation for communication, self-esteem, shame, managing distress, time management, and more. What we believe to be true about ourselves is the theme and the book of our lives. And so, to begin to understand and take control of writing our own story, we have to get down into the weeds of our innermost selves. So first, where do they come from? Well, who we are is a combination of nature and nurture. We're born with certain traits that lay the foundation for who we are. Throughout our early childhood, we're further shaped and influenced by the experiences we have, both direct and indirect. So for a few lucky people, my very theoretical guess is 0.0003% of the population, that combination leads them to believe that they're inherently good enough, lovable, and worthy simply by being born. They don't have to earn those feelings or feel pressure to succumb to others' expectations and cultural ideals. Sure, they may contribute to the world and be valuable assets in their communities, but they don't hang their worth on the assessment and judgment of other people. The rest of us, we drew the short straw, and apparently there were a lot of them. We believe that we are not good enough, lovable, or worthy unless fill in the blank with some BS rule. Unless we get good grades, have the right job, say the right thing, are in the right size body, have the right color skin, have the right identity pieces, choose the right life course. We believe we have to look, act, and feel a certain way to meet the external standards imposed upon it and created around us. And by meeting those standards, we can secure our place, at least for the moment, in the world around us. But what does this lead to? Well, over time, these beliefs lead us to create a system of rules from which to operate. The things that we need to or are supposed to do to be worthy or lovable. Rooted in negative self-talk and distorted views, we see ourselves as the problem in our narrative and are constantly at work to negate that feeling to secure our place in the world around us. We chase the grades, the friend groups, the right size body. We change our appearance or hide parts of ourselves. We go to the right college, pick the right job. We lose ourselves in the quest for approval from everyone but the one person that matters most, ourselves. We anchor our worth and value to the response from others, whether they like us, need us, or see us as successful, rather than learning to align with our values and trust in our inherent worth that exists in us simply by being human. And honestly, who could blame us? The pressure is insurmountable. Social media, cultural norms and hierarchy, fashion trends, implicit biases, even people asking the question, what do you do when you first meet them? It's so ingrained in us, it becomes automatic to focus on perpetually refining the bullet point list, showcasing our worth and value to others, that we don't get the chance to ask ourselves, do I even care about these things? Or better yet, is this really who I am or what I want? Now, this isn't to shame anyone. We're all victims and guilty of contributing to it. We've all said things that contributed to someone else's core beliefs and systems of rules, and many of us have existed on autopilot as it pertains to our own rules, never getting the chance to see that our current reality doesn't have to be the reality that we choose to live in for the rest of our lives. So as it turns out, what feels like a cultural or societal problem is just a compounding of a lot of people focused on the wrong anchor point, the world around us versus the person we are. So why are core beliefs important to talk about? Well, because too many of us are trying to change our lives by buying every book, going to every seminar, and listening to every podcast, selling buzzwords like authenticity, thrive in your life, live your best life. I'm sure I say a bunch of these too, but the list goes on without first understanding the issue at hand. Why is that a problem? Well, because too often people sell an external solution, a band-aid, if you will, to an internal wound. But without taking that time ourselves to understand it, what they're selling sounds amazing. But the problem isn't that you have to do more, be better, fix X. It's that you have to stop doing until you can be sure that these actions are congruent with who you truly are and what you want to be, rather than the you that exists as an extension of these core beliefs and the rules set by your shame. We can't live a life we're excited about without first spending some time getting to know the deepest depths of ourselves, our world, and the root beliefs that we hold about ourselves. We have to see the full picture before taking any action steps. Because without that, we're inevitably going to fall back into our standby systems of rules. Why? Because these rules, in our mind, are the only thing that prevents us from feeling that constant sense of shame and creating a connection with the world. It's not without dismantling these beliefs, both by learning about their origin and then slowly untethering ourselves from them, that we can begin to take actionable steps to live a truly authentic and full life. So now the question comes, how can you change them? Well, the short answer is that it takes a lot of work. Unlearning what's been building within us for decades can't be undone in one sitting. It takes work and commitment. And most importantly, it takes the willingness to move from judgment to curiosity. It takes opening the door to the room that has been deep inside you, harboring your anger, sadness, resentment, self-doubt, fear, shame, you name it. And not only facing it, but working through it to dismantle the power these feelings, memories, and experiences have had on you. It is true sometimes the payoff from following the rules of your core beliefs works, for a little while, at least. The rules of my eating disorder, chronic anxiety and perfectionism, and pervasive shame got me the amazing grades, top opportunities, attention, and everybody wanting to be around me all the time and be everybody's best friend. I had a status that accompanied these accomplishments, and it was sustainable. For a little while, at least. But at what cost? All of my relationships were superficial. I kept everyone at arm's length. I constantly worried about what others thought of me and made choices that I felt like others wanted me to make, even when they didn't align with what I truly wanted. And I think I single-handedly kept the Post-it note company in business with how many times a day that I would write, rewrite, recalculate, and write again the food I could eat and at what times, to make sure that I kept up with all of these standards and the addiction that had developed from it to look and be a certain way. But was everything about who I was motivated by a performance? No. And that's the hardest part of doing this work. There are parts of me that really care about my health. Now, health and weight or shape are very different things. So for those of you who haven't heard about health at every size or any models that really talk about fat inclusivity or what it looks like to talk about health versus body size and appearance, check that out. But it gets tricky as you walk through the weeds of health and addiction or fixation. Challenging myself and leadership are two very important values to me. But does it really matter if I had over a 4.33 in high school or got a 4.0 all through grad school? Absolutely not. In fact, none of that has made me a better therapist, artist, speaker, friend, or simply human. What makes me better is what happens within the process of living within my values, which includes being able to fail and flail. The application and the exploration of how they flex and work together and in tandem with each other during different times of my life. It's more about being mindful and present within your life and embodying a message versus focusing on outcomes, goals, and externally motivated ideals. I love to work hard, but it is not that love that makes me feel anxious when I feel sick and feel behind. My core belief tells me I'm only good enough if I always exceed every expectation. My core belief tells me that I'm only worthy if I get a response on social media or in other platforms where others reinforce my leadership skills, fill me with compliments, or even like a post. The reality is, my skills and how I can affect the world are not dependent on any numerical data. It's what I offer in every interaction that I have, the way I show up to my life, and the ability that I have to enact change. But again, walking the line between who we are, what we believe and value, and how our core beliefs have used that against us is tricky, and reinforces my statement that doing this work and building genuine insight cannot be done overnight. So where do you go from here? First, slow down. Be patient. Find space for self-love and curiosity. We're all universally struggling with the belief that we're not inherently good enough. You're not alone. But the only way to rid yourself of that feeling is to turn and face it, head on, and make peace with it. After all, your inner self was only doing what it thought it needed to do to protect you from being found out. It just wanted you to belong. So make space in your heart for forgiveness and reflection, not just for yourself, but for all of the voices, experiences, people, and moments that instilled this belief in you in the first place. It serves no purpose to carry any animosity towards any of them. And as you move to a space of openness and forgiveness, take time to get to know the real you without the mask. Peel back the layers of performances past and present, and see who the real you is, nurturing every beautiful imperfection, flaw, and insecurity. Focus on your being aspect, not your doing. From there, it's about anchoring to your internal self by uncovering and cultivating your values and intentions in life. I put a link in the show notes below to my values exploration sheet that you're welcome to use if that helps you to figure out and again, build those anchors and those roots for you to move forward from. Now, before you go, I would love to hear one insight or aha that you're taking with you today and your next step in the process of dismantling your core beliefs. This way, we can keep the conversation and the learning going in the comment section. Take a look at the video notes to access some of the awesome resources that are related to this content, including that values worksheet that I just mentioned, 12 questions to ask other than what you do if you're a part of that kind of problem or narrative, and so much more. Before you go, be sure to like and share this video with someone else who could benefit, so we can share the insight and deepen the conversation. And if you haven't already, be sure to click the link below in the show notes to become an AR Insider and receive a handcrafted exclusive email that I drop in your inbox every 2 weeks with content, ideas, specials, all sorts of things that I don't share anywhere else. Thank you so much for being here with me today. The more insight that we develop on these important topics, especially when we think about core beliefs and shame and mindset, the greater likelihood that we can actually make meaningful and sustainable change in our own lives and in the communities that we're a part of. Remember, you have the right to author your own story. So let's go get that pen back.